Play better poker with betterpoker.net. This betterpoker.net tutorial provides an overview of the Rangerinator. Rangerinator is designed to improve your hand reading skills by considering the actions of your opponent using a powerful yet intuitive and highly interactive user interface. The goal is not to determine your opponent's hand exactly, but to narrow down your opponent's range and use that information to optimize your own decisions. Use Rangerinator during your hand review sessions and to examine how different flop textures hit certain ranges of your opponent. This will teach you the thought process to use when encountering a variety of situations in-game and make you a better poker player as a result. In this tutorial, we give a high-level overview of each of Rangerinator's powerful features by walking through an example hand. More tutorials are provided that focus on specific parts of Rangerinator, like pre-flop and post-flop, which you can watch at your leisure. Please keep in mind that on your device, Rangerinator may look a bit different as it adapts itself to the given dimensions, and because it is constantly evolving. The hand we use in this tutorial was copied and pasted from a PokerStars hand history. We will explain how to paste online hand histories into Rangerinator in another tutorial episode. We selected the preflop range already, but we can modify it in numerous ways. For instance, we can select the highest ranked 12% of possible hole cards, which would roughly apply to situations in which we saw an opponent raise about 12% out of all hands. We can further refine the selection directly in the range matrix by dragging or clicking with the mouse or trackpad. For now, we will use a predefined range taking into account the type of opponent we played the hand against. Let's say we observed the opponent played fairly standard, and as we can see from the hand history, he raised first in from the cutoff. Therefore, we will select the appropriate poker strategy range from the range selector. As you can see, the range selector provides numerous predefined ranges for standard situations. These ranges are fully customizable. Our hole cards were taken from the hand history and filled in for us already by Rangerinator. So are flop, turn, and river. If our hole cards are known, Rangerinator will automatically calculate our chances of winning against the assumed range of the opponent. If we assume a stronger range for our opponent, our chances of winning are diminished. But let's switch back to a more reasonable range given our scenario. In order for you to follow along, we provide a link with this video. It was created using Rangerinator's share feature, like I'm doing right now. Let's include ranges and hand history. Done. When opening this link elsewhere, everything is configured the way it was when the link was created. This is an awesome Rangerinator feature, as it allows you to freely share a scenario with your friends, coach, or students in order to facilitate discussions. The flop, as well as the turn and river, provide us with three main views to investigate our opponent's range and how it fits the board. The range matrix is on the top and the strength table on the very bottom. In the middle, we see strong, weak, and misfits on the left, and parts of the opponent's range that currently beat us versus parts that we beat on the right. As you can see, only combos included in the preflop range are available for selection on the flop, since our opponent cannot hold cards on the flop that he folded preflop. As you may have observed, the range matrix and strength table on the flop were automatically updated with every change to the preflop range. This provides us very quick feedback on how different types of ranges hit specific flops. If in our case we give the opponent a very strong range, we can immediately see that it fits the flop much better. Almost half of the possible combos are considered a strong fit. Switching back to the range we assumed earlier, we can see that more types of strengths are possible, and that less than 1/3 of those are considered a strong fit. The strength table is divided into rows showing mate hands and columns showing how they combine with draws. As an example, there are a total of 5 ways the opponent could hold a weak pair. We can obtain a preview in the range matrix above by holding down the shift key and hovering over the count, or show them in the table directly via a right click. Please note that cards already in use, either by our hole cards or the flop, have been removed from the possible combos. 2 of the possible weak pairs combine with the flush draw, 7-6 and 6-5 of diamonds. And the remaining 3 don't add any draw. Now let's put this back in context with the hand we were analyzing. We can see that on the flop, the opponent was up against 2 players and bet about half the pot. As we stated earlier, this opponent played fairly standard, and thus we will assume that he's holding a strong hand at this point. Ranginator does a very good job at determining which combos are strong. In this case, a top pair or better are included, as well as some straight and flush draw combinations. Again, we can hold the shift key and hover to get a better idea of what each of these are. Here are the combos that combine both a flush draw and a straight draw. For pure flush draws, only ace-high flush draws or flush draws combined with at least a pair, like 7-6 and 6-5, are considered strong. 5-4 of diamonds is considered weak. However, we could include it if we want. The fits Ranginator provides serve as a good starting point to further refine the range, either via the strength table or the range matrix. To learn more about Ranginator's post-flop features in detail, please watch the tutorial episode that focuses on flop, turn, and river specifically. However, in this case we are happy with the selected range and continue to the turn. The turn provides the same main views as the flop, and as we can see, only the combos we included on the flop are available here. Since the pre-flop now is out of view, Ranginator helps us remember what our hole cards were by giving us a hint next to the turn header. Below we can see the current board with the selected turn card, 9 of spades, standing out. The board paired, but none of the draws came in. Let's look at the turn action in the hand and then think about what range we should give our opponent going into the river. All players checked. So let's think about which combos a straightforward player would check against 2 other players still in the hand. In this case, we'll turn things around a bit and select all combos initially. The question we need to answer is which hands would the opponent bet and then remove them from the assumed range since he actually checked. The 2 pair hands are relatively strong, since either they pair the king or draw to the flush. And all second pair hands still in the opponent's turn range are combined with at least a flush draw. The opponent may be afraid that one of the remaining players called with a 9 on the flop and now has trips, in which case checking kings would make sense. He may also be trying to draw to a flush for free. On the other hand, 4 of a kind and full house are solid hands here. Therefore, we assume that the opponent would bet for value with those. Let's remove them from the range. The fact that everyone checked on the turn is a good outcome for us, as we are still drawing to our straight. Let's see if we get lucky on the river. The 5 completes our straight and we beat all combos that the opponents should hold at this point if our assumptions so far have been correct. Additionally, we can see that the opponent's range overall is very strong. Let's take a closer look. Out of the 56 2 pairs, only 2 combos, 7-6 and 6-5, aren't particularly strong. However, with the remaining ones, it would be very hard for the opponent to fold. The second pairs are all weak, as Ranginator indicates, and we don't assume the opponent to call any bet with those. Finally, there's this one combo for a straight, which would make us split the pot. In short, more than 80% of the opponent's combos are strong enough to call a large bet with, and the remaining ones are too weak to call even a smaller bet. Since we are winning in all cases, except when we split, we should make a sizable bet here. In the actual hand, we did bet a little below 2/3 pot, but after this analysis we might conclude that a bigger bet was in order. But what if we were wrong and the opponent checked a monster on the turn? We can easily investigate that simply by including them with the turn range. Now the opponent will call a very strong bet about 85% of the time, and only 9 combos out of those beat us. And as we can see, we still win about 84% of the time we get called, and thus it is a profitable bet either way. Correctly sizing your bets is just one example of Ranginator helping you make the right decisions. After all, having a better idea of your opponent's range gives you an important edge that can make the difference between being a winning or losing player. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and will come back for more. I promise to reveal the hand that the opponent did actually have in a future episode. In the meantime, follow the links and try the betterpoker.net Ranginator for yourself. Make sure to unlock all features by signing in and receiving 1 month free. Thanks for watching.